programme features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everyone to a wonderfully misty morning once more out here in the African bush. I think we're going to have a very cold day today, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
You are live. We weren't expecting to have so much mist. It was not that cold when we set out and started driving looking for tracks, but it is a beautiful morning. I think there is something very mysterious and charming about this mist that surrounds us all. So we're gonna carry on driving and see if perhaps we can come across any tracks for any of the beautiful animals that live in the African wilderness, all the way in the greater Kruger Park in South Africa. My name's Ellie, and on camera with me today is Sam, and we are very happy to take you guys on this bumble, see what we can find around this morning. As you know, it's a live and interactive show, so if you've got any questions or any comments, please feel free to send them using the hashtag Safari Live. Right, now we had several amount of reports from lions roaring to leopards sawing close to the dam camp, so we're going to do a bit of a loop around just in this general area, see if perhaps Tingana has been walking around here, because this is part of the route that he seems to follow when he comes around here, and also looking for any lion tracks, see if the Nkuhumas carried on walking from yesterday. So far we haven't had too much luck, but we are just starting, so why not carry on looking. Always hoping for these beautiful lions and leopards and pretty much anything, any animal in the mist. I think they just look stunning. So very excited to start this Sunday morning with such a beautiful view of the bush. We'll see what the day has in store for all of us. But while we do that, let's go over to Taylor, who I'm sure is very eager to say good morning.
Good morning everybody, and of course welcome again to Safari Live. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is the mighty Gert, and we're hopefully going to find all sorts of wonderful animals for you this morning. Like I said in the pre-show, there was a lot of commotion going on with 3 different species, lions, leopards and hyenas, calling right throughout the entire night. Where have they gone? I'm not sure. We went all the way down, of course, to the dam. We've seen their tracks, but I can't go all the way to the pan where the nest cam is, unfortunately, because there's still guests in the lodge. So we're trying to figure out where they've gone from there. But if you have just joined us, you're welcome to, of course, ask us as many questions as you like. Maybe it's your first time watching Safari Live, and well, then a big warm welcome to all of you. Hashtag, of course, Safari Live on Twitter, and then you can send us all sorts of questions, comments, anything that you did manage to see. Now, trying to figure out what's going on here. Lots of hyena tracks, but I'm looking for the leopard tracks, and the hyenas go that way, or the lion tracks. So I think let's do a quick loop around Quarantine, because it doesn't seem to be too much in terms of animal activity around here. So maybe the lions did sneakily cross the road somewhere, but they could have also turned back. It's the tough one to try and figure out where these cats have gone, because if they did drink at where the nest cam is, they could have gone back and hugged against the lodge and gone back north, crossing into Buffalo's Hook, but Ellie's covering that section now. Or they could have just snuck across the road a little bit further and then gone south or even further west. But they did do quite a bit of traveling last night. I hope that they've made a kill, because those youngsters would have had to have walked quite a far distance too. Let's go this most southern road all the way around and have a look. Just check here. Once the buffalo return, it'll be a lot easier to follow the lions, because they're just going to follow the herds of buffalo around, and then it will make it, well, I suppose, tracking won't be as hard then. We'll just go check where the buffaloes were last seen and see if we can find the lions around there. But until that happens, we have to do it the old-fashioned way of trying to figure out where their footprints have gone. But we don't have any footprints just yet. So we shall keep moving along. It was very, very noisy though. So I'm not sure what we're going to do just yet. We'll see whose tracks we pick up on first. If it's going to be a leopard's tracks or if it's going to be lion tracks. Nothing there, just some Impala tracks from last night. And now we can also scan and check across the drainage systems to see if there's anything lying on the other side. Doesn't look like it just yet though. Also another old favorite spot of the Nkuhumas. I'm really hoping they just fall back into their old routine of their favorite spots. Then it'll also make it nice and easy for us because we know those favorite spots. But at the moment they seem to have changed everything up completely. And it's quite difficult to figure out what they're doing. Right. Come kitty cats, where are you? As we bumble about, I'm not just looking for the big cats this morning, even though this is the best time to of course view them if we want to see them moving around. And there's a request from Teresa this morning, and the request was, would we perhaps see some elephants? I'm not sure, maybe. There were quite a few sort of bachelor herds that I saw yesterday afternoon when we were heading into that lion sighting, just coming from Buffelshoek, crossing in south. So there might be some around. Perhaps if we head a little bit further down back towards Nyala Road Central, we might see some a bit later. But I wouldn't worry too much about them just yet. We'll see a bit later as it starts to warm up as well. Let's see. What's this? No, not much. So no luck this way. I think we're missing it. It sounds like some of the guides are just starting to get active now, so I'll see if any of them have left Vuatela Lodge and we'll be able to head right in front. But let's go back across to Madam Ali, who's driving towards the north.
On to the north we are, and I think maybe after the north, or after we hit the most northern point, we're gonna go east and see what it is that it is there, because so far we've seen just a lot of hyena tracks on the road, and I'm sure everyone's quite eager, and so are we, to try and find this new den where they've been, because they're certainly still around somewhere, because we see so many of their tracks when we start moving around at the beginning of the day. However, it seems like they're eluding us, and they are not in any of the regular places, because we've all checked pretty much everywhere, or all the usual hyena dens where they could be. I just want to see. Let's see what's around here. Alright, come on, pretty lions, we are waiting for you. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to listen to the radio as well. It seems like a lot of people have just gotten up and about. Everybody's starting their day, all of us looking for animals. So just trying to figure out what the updates on the radio were. See if perhaps anybody got lucky with some more tracks here and there. But let's see. Still nothing around here. Ah! You see, we were so focused with our head on the ground, well, or facing, let's see, that we missed our very loyal and beautiful Impala, almost in the mist. Hello, beautiful guys. Beautiful. Good morning, guys. Nice to see you. All looking very fluffy with your hair all perked up to try and keep warm. So we're looking at a bachelor herd of Impala. Lots of boys, and I think it's just boys. I couldn't see the horns on one of them, but confirmed he's also got a horn. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 males that I can see. Now I wonder if they've come all the way up here. We are very close to our boundary with Buffelshoek, but it's also a bit of a higher ground. So I wonder if they're here just to try and keep warm, because some areas further south, for example where Twindams is, because they are a bit lower, I reckon they're going to be a lot colder. So I wonder if these guys did it on purpose. I wouldn't be surprised. But look at that fluffy skin. All the hair is piled up, so it's a process that's called piloerection, whereby they raise their hair on their body just to be able to trap the heat that's being irradiated by their own body as they metabolize what they're eating. So it's always a way of using their own skin to act as an extra jersey, just to make sure that they keep warm on these cold mornings. Beautiful face. Hello, how are you? I would say all of these boys around here, they're probably around 4 years old, or maybe older. You see all of their horns. You're an old friend, the half-horned Impala. So funny, we know that this guy, we've seen them all the way in Twindams, and now he's all the way up in the northern boundary. Interesting to see you. I do think it's the same. I've seen too many of them missing horns. Now I wonder why they're listening so intently in that direction. Oh my goodness, it seems like you guys are actually some veterans. Now the one on the left, that Impala, if you can see, he's also seemed to have some old wounds on his skin. Oh, okay, maybe. Shame. Seems like something has definitely gone for him. And I'm gonna say maybe a lion or a leopard, just by judging of the amount of lack of hair there. So it seems like somebody had quite a big wound, and it's healed up nicely, but it's going to take a little while longer for the hair to start growing around there. Hey, boy, well done on surviving. Almost seems like somebody tried to grab him with 2 paws on there and maybe try and pull him down, and he got away. Just want to have a bit of a closer look with the binoculars as well, see if perhaps there's anything else we can spot on him. I must say, despite those wounds, he seems to be in quite a decent condition. He doesn't seem to be too skinny, and I think, well, there is shows of stress and maybe a bit of what's the word for it? Yeah, stress would be a good word. Then he's not doing 100%, but he is on the recovery process, in the recovery way, and that's a very massive one. Can you imagine when it was open? I'm sure it was quite painful for it, but it's all closed now, and I think from here, unless he stumbles upon some more predators, I think he will probably be alright. Interesting. I wonder if it's the same boy that has been hanging around with our half-horned Impala. Sorry, Ellies, can you repeat that question for me again? Joe, you're saying that their hair is standing up similar like when they shiver. Yes, it is true. It's very similar to that, but they do it just to keep warm. So I don't know if you've ever been very close to somebody else, you can almost feel that there's heat coming off of them. So what they're doing is that heat that comes off of them naturally, they're using the hair to trap that heat and make sure that it stays close to their body, so that way they can pretty much be warm and not be cold, because they don't have anything else to put on, just a normal coat. And we're obviously moving into areas that are a bit in higher ground or going into thicker vegetation when it's a bit too cold. But for now it seems like they're doing well, and it's not too cold this morning, at least not in this particular area where we are in. So it seems like they're doing quite well. All of their heads sticking down. Krista, you're wondering why the Impala keep their tails between their legs. Well, the tails have a very important function of protecting very sensitive area. The area where their genitals are. So a lot of the times they keep them there to protect like I said, sensitive areas, but also it's bare skin around that whole area, so there's a lot of heat that is being given off from the genital area. So just by putting the tail there, they prevent heat loss, much like when an elephant keeps its ears close to its body to try and keep a bit warmer, and it doesn't flap them, and just to make sure that it's everything that's hot doesn't fly away. This is a very peaceful scene up here. Hey Sam, all we need now is a lion roaring, and then we'll know exactly where to go. Or maybe Tingana. We had hope that he would come around this way, but it seems like he has chosen a different route. One of them all of a sudden got his head up, but I think they are starting to move now into an area that it's a bit thicker, so we're going to carry on, see if perhaps we can find some more creatures, perhaps even some tracks, and we'll see what else there is on the way to the east. Right, let me turn this radio on. Now, we're going to carry on driving down this road, see if perhaps we get lucky, but let's go over to Taylor and find out how her lion search is going.
Well, it's getting better because we've actually been finding more and more lion tracks. That's a good thing. Is that an impala? Please don't be an impala. Please be a lion. It is an impala. I'll show you it now. It's just around this corner. So we've had their tracks come back from the dam and then cut back across north towards this road that we're on, which is Mvubu Road. There's this impala that looked like a lion. There it is, just standing just to our right. So they're still moving around here, but this concerns me slightly because once they go north from here, of course the boundary is not particularly far away at all, and we know that the distances and the speed at which lions can travel those distances is incredible. So for them to walk a couple of 100 meters wouldn't be too far at all to cross out. So I think we're going to quickly race towards the boundary and check the boundary bubbles of cut line and make sure that they haven't crossed out. Otherwise, we spend the whole morning chasing ghosts when we could be looking for other things too. But a beautiful impala ram nonetheless. So we'll keep going along this road. Good morning, boy. It seems as though, nice, both Ellie and I have now seen our impalas. We've ticked them off for the day. Let's just check here. They were very busy last night. So I've seen about 4 or 5 different sets of hyena tracks. These roads are just completely littered with lion and hyena tracks, which is interesting. So I wonder what was going on. I didn't hear any fighting last night, and from camp is not too far away. As the crow flies, it's probably about 200 meters, and in this drainage line sound travels sort of more prominently than it would when it's not in a drainage line. So we would have heard if there was an altercation between the lions and hyenas last night. So they must have just been sort of circling around them. Like I said, I heard hyenas running outside my window. I could hear them kicking up the sand as they were running around. So I don't know if they'd perhaps stolen something and were playing a game, but their footprints are also all throughout camp. But let's just keep our eyes out around here. Again, an old favorite spot, these drainage lines. And not so long ago, Sebastian and I had that amazing sighting where the Nkuhumas tried to hunt the 2 buffalo that were sleeping in the grass. So potentially this is a good area for them to find some dinner. Okay, there's a big male lion track as well walking along this road. And I did hear a male lion at one point last night. Obviously he was responding to the calls of the females. Just quickly concentrate and triple check. Make sure there's nothing going down there. There is a track that looks old. Okay, so the tracks are still going along here. That's a good sign. And Tax is also helping us search. It sounds like he's just crossing into Buffelshoek now. I don't know if he's picked up on any tracks yet, otherwise he probably would have let me know. Turn the game drive radio down just a little bit. See, this is where it's difficult now. I can't wait for the next few weeks. Is ideally you want to be able to see right onto the other side of the drainage lines, but it becomes almost impossible in winter, as we have all seen. So I really wonder how many times we drove past animals in winter just purely not knowing that they were sitting in the bushes 50 meters away, even 100 meters away, even further. We're getting there. We're slowly but surely getting to the point where we'll be able to see for a couple of kilometers, which would be quite nice if you position yourself in a good spot. No luck just yet. I really hope they haven't crossed into Buffelshoek. I thought that we were going to get lucky maybe and find them on a zebra kill or a kudu kill. They seemed pretty adamant last night to find something to eat. Okay, let's get to the cut line. Hang on, Tax is looking for me. Go, Tax. I still had some of the tracks that are coming towards the boundary, coming north. I'm just going to check here. I don't have any more Nkonzo. I'm going to let Tax go in front of me, just because he's got a tracker. So he says he hasn't seen any tracks coming from this way. The last tracks I had, Tax, were down there and they still looked like they were coming this way. Maybe they, I don't know if they maybe either went further west now. Nothing, yeah. Okay, I'll let you go in front. Okay, we'll let Tax go in front. He's got a tracker. So if anybody's going to be able to find these lines, it's definitely going to be Fanoti. He's a brilliant tracker. I'm just thinking, because I don't want to get left behind here. Maybe we'll carry on. We'll just sort of stick behind Tax and we'll go down Gari cut line and go past those jackleberries and just check that side. They could still be somewhere around here, so, or they could just be between Gallagher shortcut and here. Hang on, we see they've stopped up ahead. I think they're seeing if these lines perhaps crossed over. It's a tough one, trying to figure out where these animals are going. Right, we're going to do some serious tracking now, and we're going to just triple and quadruple check to make sure that these cats haven't crossed out. Ellie has got something that has got wings and feathers, so before it flies away, let's take a look.
We do have something with feathers and a very long tail, and it is, of course, the magpie shrike. Now, it seems like the birds are finally starting to wake up and fly away and move all around us. Now, we've seen some starlings moving around and, well, flying around rather, and then the magpie shrike. But let's go carry on. Perhaps we can add a few more birds to our bird list this morning. Seems like they're out and about, and I'm sure Taylor will be doing a very good job of tracking those lions, because it seems like they were quite hungry, apparently, and judging by the views of them yesterday. So I think maybe they're also trying to keep quiet and not roar and just pretty much pretend that they're not here so that they can approach their prey, because I'm sure the youngsters are starting to get hungry now. But we shall see. There are, between Taylor and Texan, I am very confident in their tracking abilities, so I reckon they'll be very good. I wonder, I think I ended up in a road that I didn't expect to be in. I think the mist might be confusing us. I think we're back on the same road. Interesting. Alright. I think we are going to be checking. We want to see if perhaps those ground hornbills as well, if they've decided to stay. Oh, look at the sunrise. Is that good? Should I go back for you, Seb?
That should be fine.
Okay. Sorry, I got excited as we saw the first peak of the sun coming out this morning. And yes, as I was saying, we would also like to go and check on the ground hornbill, see if perhaps they have decided to nest in that big jackleberry, because it is one of the biggest ones around in Djuma, so it might be worth going and having a look. You never know. Maybe we'll get the awesome experience of seeing them. How is this sunrise? Very beautiful. Wonderful. It is funny, I find myself having to close my eyes when I look at it on the screen and in real life. But it is quite a fantastic view, isn't it? Otherwise we wouldn't be able to see it coming up. And like we normally say in comments, it's just amazing how quickly it starts going up, and you can appreciate how it goes up, 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 up until it's pretty much so far away that we can't really see more than a very shining glimpse of something floating in the sky. But I think we've gotten lucky always when there are beautiful sunrises and sunsets with the clouds. I think the clouds add a bit more of an extra dimension, and I reckon James would take a very nice photo of it, despite it not being a sunset but being a sunrise. But I'm sure James has been enjoying the sunsets on the other side, and when he comes back he'll just have to pretty much make up for it and take a lot more. Oh, wonderful. Not a bad way to start our Sunday morning, looking at the beautiful sunrise, while we look for leopards and lions and pretty much anything else that might be moving on this morning's drive. It looks like a coin, the sun, to me today. I know I'm always seeing different shapes in the sun. I think maybe that one of the snake eating an egg was a bit too much, but in this case it looks almost like a magician's coin. Natalie, you say it's breathtaking. I agree with you. I think it's always good to stop and admire the sunset, because we don't really have roses here, so we can't stop and smell the roses. Especially not at this time of the year. Almost done, and now everything's gonna start shining. Oh, I thought I heard a lion, but I think I am actually making it up. So we're going to leave this beautiful sunrise and carry on driving towards the potential nest for the ground hornbill, see if perhaps they are there. We are still looking for any tracks for Tingana or pretty much anything. But I think maybe sometimes we just need to let things come to us. We did end up on the same road, Seb. What happened to us? What, did we not have enough coffee this morning? So there is this particular road we're driving in. It's got a shortcut and a shortcut of a shortcut, and then it's got a detour. So we went on the normal road, and then we thought we were further ahead because we were chatting about how impressed we are with that Impala with the wounds on the side and the fact that it's managed to survive. Because can you imagine, once those wounds were ripped open, that poor animal must have been in so much pain, yet it's managed not only to heal itself but to survive and looking in quite a decent condition. So we just got into a very philosophical conversation about what would happen if us as humans, if we had a wound like that, and we just pretty much got into the conclusion that we likely wouldn't survive. Because it seemed almost like there was a lion running, or well, a leopard, and they grabbed him on the side and then went like this. So I think we got detoured by the Impala conversation. Oh, it doesn't happen all the time, but I think the universe was wise, and we were sent in this area so that we clear the area for Taxon and Taylor to have a look at. I think sometimes it's just easier. They know where the tracks are already, so I'm sure they're going to be, or where the tracks were headed to, and sometimes it's a bit easier to track this way when there are less people around. And of course we wouldn't want to get in the way and hamper the tracking in any manner. Paul, you're wondering if we can put a chip on the animals to track them better. We only chip or color the animals for research purposes, and we don't have access to that data anyway. Only the people that are busy with the research are the ones that can use the telemetry or find out where the animals are. We don't do that because, well, these are wild animals, and if we could just every single time just, okay, they're here and go straight where they are, that also wouldn't I think it wouldn't be fair on the animals because we would find them every time and maybe they would get tired of the creatures. And also the not or having to do it manually gives us an idea of just how elusive and what their nature really is like. Now we've got a beautiful young Nyala here, going behind the bushes, of course. Let me just go forward, see if maybe we'll have a bit of a better look of them here. Beautiful Nyalas in the mist. I'm loving this. I wish every morning could be like this. Hello, young boy, and your mother. And you see, that's typical Nyala. You see his front foot, he just kind of left it up in the air. So when they're not sure, when they're thinking about things or what to do next, they normally just get caught mid-step and they'll stay there until they've assessed the situation and then they carry on moving. Now we've got an older boy here. He's starting to turn black now. All of his colors are starting to move around and change a little bit. Also going into the thickets. Everyone's going into the thickets for breakfast this morning. Right. Ah, well done. It seems like Seb has got the artistic eye today and he's been providing us with some wonderful views of not only the sunrise but the misty morning. I think this is also a good idea to get a glimpse of what it looks like for us, and it's looking quite hazy all around us. It's almost like we need to wipe our eyes and just be able to see things clearly, but it's just the amount of mist that's all around us. Beautiful. Beautiful morning. Seems like Taylor has been looking for lions. However, she's got a bit of a different creature, small and dark, that she would like to show you.
We do indeed. Now they've settled down. There's about 5 fork-tailed drongos just sitting in this tree. They've settled down now, like I said, but at one point it was quite amazing, the acrobatics that were going on. They were all fighting with each other. Now, fork-tailed drongos are exceptionally territorial birds, so they had a bit of an argument, and now they seem to have sorted out their differences, and they are resting quite peacefully. But let's see if it changes, because there's a few more drongos I can hear calling down in the drainage line too, so perhaps that riles them up. Now, it sounds silly that birds can be territorial because they don't mark territories in the traditional way that we're used to. So they don't leave sort of scent marks, they don't mark necessarily by their feces, but instead they use their voices. And of course we know birds have got some of the most beautiful voices out here in the bush. And the drongos being the top-notch mimickers out here, being able to mimic a variety of different species. You can imagine it's actually quite pleasant to listen to them have a territorial dispute. It must be one of the only birds that can make, it's almost a mechanical sound, some of the noises that come out of them. Now I have also just seen a little duiker running through here. But I think no, it's disappearing into the drainage line. It's too quick for us. Let's carry on though. I just want to chat to Tax. He said something and I didn't hear him on the radio. Tax for Taylor. I was too busy talking. Go again with your message. Okay, copy, Tax, no problem, I'll do that. So, okay, so we've still got tracks every now and then. These lines are walking up and down, so I think let's carry on with Buffelshoek boundary. We're on Gowrie cut line now, and there's male lion tracks. We've not, unfortunately I can't show you them though, because as Taxon was driving, he did drive over the top of them. But they went down into this drainage system here, going slightly more east. So perhaps we'll go back towards Buffelshoek Dam. We'll just head up a little bit further and then carry on with the cut line. He said he also had a set of lioness tracks that side too. I don't really know what the lions were getting up to. what can happen, and which will maybe explain why we heard so much vocalization, especially coming from the females, because it's not necessarily as common, is perhaps the girls split up last night in order to try and find something, just walking through the bushes. You know what it's like, somebody hears something and they carry on to go and investigate. So perhaps they got slightly split up, which will then explain the different sets of tracks we've got, and they were calling to each other, not to the males, not to try and find the males, but to actually try and find where the other girls have gone, basically. So let's have a look here. But I'm starting to get less and less hopeful now, because I know what these lions are like. They're sneaky. They make us chase after them for hours and hours, and we invest so much time into looking for things, and then they just cross out on us. They're very rude sometimes. But they gave us a good show yesterday, so maybe we'll still be in luck. And we'll also see if there's any nice birds along the way too. Now, as we drive about yesterday, we were talking quite a bit about the little lion cub, and we're not sure what's happened to it or where it is, but we haven't seen it with the pride, and all the lionesses are in the pride. It's been together for the last 2 weeks now. And the question is from Paul, and Paul was wondering, if we found a little lion cub on its own, would we help it? And the answer to that is no, Paul, we wouldn't. Unfortunately, we try and let nature take its course as much as it can. So the Sabi sand policy is the only time we typically will intervene is with things that have been introduced or an animal is harmed because of human interference. So for instance, if a rhino is poached and it's still alive, we'll try and assist the animal. If the animal has picked up a snare, so a very basic trap, we'll do the same thing. We'll dart the animal, the vets will come and dart the animal, they'll remove it and then treat it. And it goes with the wild dogs. If they got canine distemper or anything like that, they will try and vaccinate them, just purely because often something like rabies and canine distemper is actually brought in from the domestic animals that sneak into the property. Now, this is a spot where there's lots and lots of gremlins, and we have to go through to try and find these lions. My goodness, look what we're going into. Look at the thick mist that is just in the distance. You literally can't see anything. It's a white wall. So I'm going to vanish. So we're going to vanish off in the mist, and we're going to send you across to Ellie, who is also having a tough time driving around. I hope she's watching where she's going.
We have, and the mist is so wonderful. We've actually come back to quarantine, and we want to see if we can show you if we'll be able to see that very thick line of mist, just because it looks so wonderful. I love it. I think mist has been one of my favorite things in the winter mornings. It's just so beautiful. Let's see. And we are pretty much going down onto the mist. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to see it properly, but let's see. Maybe we need to do a loop around quarantine, Seb. Oh, beautiful. So I'm sure you can see just ahead of me that it looks very, very dark. So that is not because the sky is actually looking that dark. That is pretty much just the mist that's making everything look a bit hazy. Oh, I love it. Guys, I think we have been very lucky, and you can see now there. I'm gonna stop here so we can have a bit of a better look, perhaps. Beautiful. Very, very beautiful this morning. Look at this. Alright, lions, Tingana, now we just need one of you to walk in this misty morning. I think I'm going to make it my mission for the winter to get one of those beautiful cats walking out of the mist. I'm sure that'll be stunning. Oh, beautiful marula. It almost looks like something from Wonderland, doesn't it? Like it doesn't belong here. Oh. And it's funny because we only get a few moments of this now that the sun is properly shining out in the open before it starts dissipating everything. Harlara Moore, you're saying it's a real light. I think you are right. Oh, So pretty. Alright, let's carry on driving, see if perhaps we do find anything that will come out of the mist and walk into the open. Even impalas would do right now. But let's see, I think everyone's a bit skittish because the lions were roaring for quite a few times during the night. So I think maybe now they've gone quiet, possibly because they're busy looking for food and they've been moving around. And it seems like they have split up, and some tracks are going north, some tracks they're not there. So it'll be quite interesting to see where they go. Hopefully Taylor will find them. I think she was the lion whisperer yesterday, so I'm sure she'll do very well today as well. Very pretty. And of course, in the meantime, we can also check for tracks for any of them that might have decided to be a bit rowdy and break up from the rest of the pride and move somewhere else. Although it seems like they were steadily moving north. So it's funny because yesterday they did a bit of a strange loop. They were on Tamboti Dam, which is, if you imagine Djuma to be somewhat of a square, Tamboti Dam is in the middle. And then they moved around and then went onto Torchwood, which is pretty much on our most eastern corner, and then came back up, and then it seems like they've gone down to Quarantine and then back up again. Very erratic movements of these creatures sometimes. I'm sure they've got a master plan, but to the outsiders, look, sometimes it just doesn't make all that much sense of why they would choose to work certain roads that they normally don't walk onto. What is this? No, nothing much. And also, this is a good area to start checking for pangolin. Branwen, you're wondering if animals take advantage of the man-made roads to move around. Yes, they do. Pretty much all of them do. Especially the predators seem to enjoy them because, as you can imagine, it's a bit easier to see, and you can mark your territory and it'll be more open. You can see further away and everyone will know that you've been around. Now, I think this is more of an enhanced version of what occurs naturally in the bush. They will have their own pathways that, because the animals tend to use the same roads to go, especially to and from water, then you'll see perfect pathways that you can walk into. They obviously wouldn't be as big as this one that we're driving on, but they are big enough, for example, for people to walk on. So I think maybe let's go check that. What's wrong? Seb is a bit scared because we're heading on to the coldest point, Philemon's Dip, but I actually want to check that road just before, Seb, so we might not cross it just yet. I thought maybe you had seen something and I was like, what? No, it is quite a cold spot, and I know you've all heard us talking about it because the temperature does seem to drop about 15 degrees every time we go through there. But there's another road that's a bit further up from the dip, and it's also a road that Tingana seems to have been enjoying walking upon. So I want to see if perhaps there isn't anything around there. But before we do that, I want to show you some very frozen hornbills in the mist. Do you see them there on the stump? In the middle of that area?
Oh, yeah, okay.
I hope they are hornbills and that I'm not making up a bird tree. No, definitely. There we go. Two of them very close together, as well, all fluffed up for warmth. And there we go. And they were busy calling a few seconds ago too. So I was hoping they were going to do it again, and here we go. Starting their morning. Too early for camera for these guys, so we're going to leave them, and oh, now you start calling. How rude of you. Whew. It's looking so thick that normally we can just see further ahead from this wall of mist and we can see the other road going down, but it's so thick that we can't even see anything. Very interesting. Alright, what tracks have we here? Alright. Let's see. Whew. Okay. Are you ready, Seb? Here we go. Whew. Hopefully we'll come out victorious on the other side. What is that? Sorry, it seems like it's a birding morning today. I don't know what that... Has it gone down? I don't know if that's an eagle on that... perching on that branch, or if it's a guinea fowl. Oh no, stay there. You're... Oh, I've got... I don't know if you heard that very high-pitched noise. Those were parrots, the brown-headed parrots flying around. That is definitely an eagle, but I can't really tell from here. It looks like a harrier hawk from what I can see and from the shape of the body. But you see, the mist is getting in the way and it's making it quite difficult. And just by the way that it seems to be feeding, I'm going to go with harrier hawk. Oh, gone down. Just checking all the little holes on the tree for any potential meals that might be hiding in there. Perhaps the chicks, well, not chicks of birds around this time of the year, but perhaps the young ones or any squirrels in there, any big insects. Very sneaky. So you see, it's perfectly adapted to this weather. It doesn't really care and it's looking for food there. Now we can see the head a bit better, so I'm definitely going to go with harrier hawk. He used to also be known as a gymnogene. And now we've got what looks to be a brave starling sitting on top there. Whoop. And off it's gone. Nice. Well, it seems like the birds are all up and about more than some other misty mornings that we've had. So let's carry on our road. Seems like so far we've had a lucky morning in terms of the little things moving around while we search for the bigger things. Alright, I think this road is also going to be quite misty, Seb. I apologize. James, you're wondering if Tundi ever came and fetched Tamba during the night. I'm sure she did. I heard someone on the radio that they went and checked where it was and they couldn't see anything. So we assume that that was the case. But maybe they are inside of the Molowati somewhere. And I think Taylor was mentioning to me that somebody saw photos of them on the dam cam. I could be mistaken on the maybe about the leopard soaring. I just thought it was Tundi and Tamba. But we're heading on to an area where if they do came out more on a western side, we'll be able to follow up. But I can't believe how lazy Tamba was yesterday afternoon. But I was so happy to finally being able to spend some time with him because he's been quite the elusive cat for me. So always wonderful when we get to spend some time with those little ones. And he's still got that proper cub look. He's definitely not an adult yet, although he is very big and he's got this massive feet. Alrighty. Let's see what's been going around this road. This is almost like a mystery road. It's here, and I think animals use it a lot more often than what we do. Let's see around here. Not too many trucks. What about birds? It would be quite nice if we had any birds around here. Michael, you're wondering if the mist has an effect on bird activity. It does. It takes them a while longer to start becoming warmer when it's so misty because it's colder and also there's a lot of moisture out in the sun. So most of them will spend the first maybe even the first hour of the morning as the sun starts coming out just trying to dry themselves and get warm so that they can start moving around. I think, however, the harrier hawk that we saw earlier was taking advantage of everyone being a bit more lethargic, and then it started going hunting. And as I say, I think the early bird does catch early breakfast. We've got some francolin up here on the road running around, and I can hear some more hornbills calling. Alright, seems like this is a bit of a quiet road, so we're going to carry on looking for more birds. But while we do that, let's go over to Taylor and see how her tracking is going.
I'm feeling a little bit sad now. So we went all the way to Buffelshoek Dam and there was no sign of life there, barring a couple of birds, but we can always go back to them. So I thought we'd come back to the area where we had the last tracks now. And the problem that we have is that there's still some guests fast asleep at Gallagher Lodge. So we can't go to Gallagher Pan because we will disturb them. We also can't go down and check in the drainage line like I want to. So we'll just sneak and we'll do a little check before we see the rooms, just to see if those lions have perhaps gone down in there or not. And then hopefully they'll give us a better chance, because there's definitely no tracks crossing out, not this way and not towards Gallagher shortcut on Buffelshoek cut line. So they could just be sneaky, they could just be in one of these drainage systems. And for those of you who have been following the show for some time, you will know how thick this area is, and it's almost impossible to actually see what's going on. So we'll just quickly check a little bit. It's going to get to the road, it's just up ahead. I'll keep scanning here to make sure if I can see anything. This is the last area that we had their tracks moving around here too. And those there was a male leopard calling last night. We had his tracks coming along here too, but they go into Buffelshoek. So I sort of go east. So I wonder if it wasn't Tingane on his usual route towards Torchwood, which means that he'll probably be back in a few days' time. Let's just poke our noses in here. And I don't want to disturb anybody, so I'm going to talk quietly as well, so my voice doesn't boom down and wake them up, because that would not be a pleasant way to wake up. Maybe I'll just have to be quiet, Taylor, for the next 50 meters. It's always hard to try and guess where these animals have gone, especially when they don't walk on the roads all the time. They could just be in here somewhere. See, I can't go too much further than this, unfortunately. We'll do a little bit more sneaking, just to triple check. Okay. See, so there's nothing obvious here. It's a tough one. I don't know what we're going to do. We might have to go back on Mvubu Road again and go down Gallagher shortcut. Maybe we'll even check slightly further sort of west and right in that northern corner towards Sydney's Dam. I can't imagine they would go back the same way that they came from yesterday, unless they heard something in the bushes and it drew their attention that side. So we know that they've come from Buffelshoek, they went into Torchwood, and then they came from the most eastern corner and started moving west. So they could have also just crossed out on a section of the road where it's really hard. I mean, right down at Tamboti Dam, this road is not particularly good. So let's go this way. Now, I don't know if Ali mentioned it just yet, but apparently Mara is not joining us today. They've probably been hard at work, working right through the early hours of the morning. So it's another girls' drive, and hopefully we'll have a drive like we had yesterday with lots of cats. I also went past the spot where Tumba was seen yesterday afternoon, and he's not there anymore. So I'm actually not sure where Ali's checking. And me just check. Alice, do you know whereabouts Ali is driving at the moment? She's been very quiet on the radio. I haven't heard her at all. Okay, thanks. Yeah, Alice, if you can just find out what areas Ali's going to be checking, that would be wonderful. And then we can start working from there. We'll do a couple of more circles and loops and laps and things like that to see if we can figure out where these cats have gone. Just want to check down here actually while we're here. Oh no, I'm in stall. Got too excited there. The male lion tracks coming in here. Let's go down here. This is where an old hyena den was a very long time ago. Okay. Now Ellie's going towards the south, so maybe we'll just check around these areas then up here. But this is also an old favourite spot. And there's a set of male lion tracks coming straight in here. So maybe we get lucky. You can just see how it's open over here. As soon as you get down to the drainage, it's an absolute nightmare. The amount of tambutis, also lots of jackalberries, lots of pushed over knob thorns and buffalo thorn. We'll follow this road all the way in. Maybe we'll actually be able to find a gap and have a look into the bushes and down and into the drainage line. Oh, nothing here. No more activity. I don't know where this other track, where that male lion track goes. Wouldn't surprise me though. It really did sound like those lionesses were on quarantine at one point last night. I don't know where they were sneaking around. We're gonna have to go the scenic route now. Go all the way back on Mfubu Road and then back down Gallagher. Alright. Not even a bird for us here to have a look at, see if I can find anything, any sign of life. Not even a fork-tailed drongo. Very quiet this morning. Oh well. Maybe everything's just a bit chilly from last night. Though I didn't think it was actually particularly cold. Who's that? Is that a dove? What is flying there? We will look at you, whatever you are. See if we can find it again. Some bird just landed in a little shrub. No, it's now flown out of our sight. I don't actually know what it was. Now Violet, you're wondering if there's frost on the grass. No, not in this area. We don't really see frost at all. It does look like the grass has been burnt from the frost though, but it's actually just the harsh sun, and that's why it's turning so brown. But where I'm from, the Eastern Cape of South Africa, I've done many safaris where there's been frost on the ground, and I can tell you right now, it is so cold and so unpleasant in winter to do a safari down there. It's actually quite opposite, because up here, the best time to come on a safari is the winter months, and then down on the coastline, the best time to do a safari is in the summer months. Winter's just too unpleasant, very wet, rainy winters, miserable with lots of wind. You can imagine how freezing cold it will be. I always used to laugh because the Europeans would say that this is not cold until they would go on an early morning safari in the Eastern Cape, and they would have to bring out their big ski jackets and put them on and take the hot water bottles and the blankets. There's nothing quite as cold when you get moving. And speaking about cold, Aaron, you're wondering, where do the animals go when it's cold like this? So it sort of, I suppose, depends on the animal. But you might find that the mammals and things, they move up into the open areas, up higher up, because obviously it's slightly warmer, or into the, I wouldn't go and stand on a drainage line. On a hot day you would go to a drainage line because it's nice and cool. So they'll try and keep away from those areas, but they might still go to a spot that's perhaps slightly wooded. So just got a couple of trees around them that will give a bit of shelter if there is some wind. But typically up just to a higher ground, you always see them out in the open. But maybe a good spot then will be to go and check around Impala Plains. It's quite nice around there. Lots of guarri trees that would help shelter the animals slightly. But the reptiles and things, they just go into little holes in the ground. The same with the insects, whatever insects are left at this time of the year. The birds will sit in trees that have perhaps got a lot of leaves around them. Just checking, anyone's talking on the radio? No, I was imagining voices. What else do we have here? Who's been walking here? Lots of impala, a couple of elephant tracks as well. I think it's bulls that are just moving through, small bachelor groups, and we might get to see them because the tracks look like they're coming into the property. And Emily, you were wondering if we see less elephants in winter here in Djuma. No, not necessarily. It's tough to try and figure out when the best time to see elephants is, because they're constantly moving around in this area. It seems as though our lens is fogging up. You're just going to see a cloth come across your screen. Gert is just going to wipe it. Oh, that's a very pretty cloth. This has got polka dots on it. Dude, that's quite nice. It's very trendy. There we go. Now you can see me. You can all stop doing that to your screen. And so Emily, it's a tough one. No, it's just hard. I think I've seen more big herds of elephants in the winter months in this particular area. The largest herd I've seen is about 150, give or take. So I can only count to 100, and then it gets a bit tough. So I wasn't able to accurately count how many I was sitting with. But in the summer months, like what normally happens, all the big herds split up and move off into different areas. And then winter months, they all come together. But Ellie, my goodness, you're on a roll today. Firstly, birding queen, finding all these amazing feathered creatures. And I have got a riddle for you, but I'll tell you all a little bit later. Ellie has got herself an elephant.
Indeed, we have perfect timing. I believe Taylor was just talking about elephants, so he must have heard her from a distance and decided to grace us with his presence. Got what seems to be a young bull, and he's been having a bit of an attitude. I don't think at us, but in general at life. So he's been walking down the road even before we could clearly see him and flapping the wings, and I wonder if perhaps he was fighting with another elephant somewhere else, or if he was a bit grumpy. Now you see this elephant is missing one tusk. William from Oregon, you are 8 years old and you were hoping to see elephants today. Well, there you go. I'm very excited you managed to see an elephant on this morning safari. It has been pretty cold around here. Oh my goodness! And you might even get lucky enough to perhaps see 2 elephants. You see, he's a bit grumpy this morning. I'm not too sure why. I think I saw another elephant walking not too far from where this one is, so I wonder if that's what it is. Why are you so grumpy with life? We haven't done anything to you. Oh, beautiful. Look at the power of those feet, and every time they step, it's almost like the cushion is being pushed. Alright, just because he's a bit grumpy, Are you gonna come here, or are you gonna go in front of us? I was going to reverse to let you cross. I think he knows better. Alright, we will leave you to climb the mountain. Ashes 1, yes, he only has 1 tusk. Sometimes it happens with elephants, it's a genetic thing. Sometimes the tusk break, but I think in this case he doesn't even seem to have the attachment on the top of his mouth. So probably he was born like this. We do get elephants without tusks. And off you go. Are you gonna go onto the dam wall? That would be quite wonderful if you did, or just rather go into the dam for a drink. Ah. Alright, I think, Seb, what do you think? Let's go around the dam wall, see if perhaps he does go down for a drink, and maybe we'll have a bit of a better view. While we reposition, let's go to Taylor, who's also managed to find an animal with a tusk.
We have indeed, much smaller than the one that you've seen though. We've got a family of warthogs around here, which is quite nice, and they're actually fairly relaxed. Well, the sow on the left doesn't seem bothered by us at all. However, the youngsters, the sub-adult warthogs, seem to be slightly more nervous. And we're relatively close as well. When we arrived around the corner, they all darted off, barring the girl on the left, and she just was sort of concerned. She said, "Why are you guys running away from a car?" But they've all come back now. And this is quite nice that she's so settled, because she's definitely influenced the behavior of the other warthogs, and they don't seem to be running away. But how great is this? I wish we actually had a bit more mist around here. I have never seen warthogs in the mist before, and I think it could be quite beautiful. But the colors that we're seeing in the bush at the moment are really stunning. So it's almost as though we're having our autumn slightly later in the year. All the yellows and the oranges that we're seeing on the leaves are quite beautiful. There's also a couple of franklins and things moving around here. It seems to be quite festive. Now, where are the lions? Because the warthogs don't seem to be too bothered by, well, at the moment. There's a warthog in an interesting position. Hello, girl. What are you doing? I wonder what this warthog is doing. She's using the luxury facilities, in case you are wondering. That's a telltale sign, that. This is beautiful, though. Just listening to make sure that I can't hear anything in the drainage line below us. Now, warthogs are not necessarily one to go off of whether they are relaxed. They don't have the greatest senses. Well, they're not as acute as, say, an Impala's senses. So often the big cats will sneak up to these critters, and I always tell the story how I've snuck right up behind a warthog. I just had the wind and the sun in my favor, and I was a couple of meters away from it. It had absolutely no idea I was even there. They're pretty easy to actually sneak up, but you don't want to give one a fright, because if it comes charging at you, well, good luck. It'll probably hurt a lot. They've got those big tusks, which they use to defend themselves with from predators. And this girl has actually got a nice set of tusks on her too, so she must be quite old. She's obviously a seasoned female. But they're looking good, though. They look nice and healthy, which is lovely. And at least they've had some youngsters that will hopefully make it to adulthood, though. Life is also going to get tough for them now. They've had all the lovely green grass, so hopefully they've eaten enough of it to get the growth spurts that they need. Because now that the vegetation is turning this lighter shade of brown, it's not going to be easy for them. Luckily, warthogs are not particularly picky, though. They just sort of eat anything and everything, all the grass. My favorite was when we were watching them eat the grass seeds. That was quite funny. It was very sweet to see them do that. But this is amazing. Yes, you can hear us. See, they're not too certain about us, whereas Mom turns her back to us. The youngsters keep facing us just to make sure that we don't make any sudden moves at all. But isn't this great? I think what we're going to do is I want to just head up a little bit further. I want to do one last check before it starts to warm up and look for these lions. And we'll sneak past them. We'll see how they react. Let's have a very quick look over here. See the little ones run away? Hi, girl. I'm going to be bold now and see if this sow is going to stay here. Hi, beautiful. Look how close she is. But you see, not racing off like the others. She's sort of standing her ground going, you guys have got nothing to worry about. They're not interested in us. That's why I said a seasoned female. Ellie has had a beautiful elephant bull, and it seems as though her bull has multiplied into more elephants. So let's go see what they're up to.
Well, here's the trunk playing around with the water, so they've come all the way down to Twin Dams to have a drink. Oh, there's the water dripping. It's almost like a shower, isn't it? Of the beautiful elephant putting all the water, sucking it up with the trunk and then putting it in its mouth. Now you see this one has got 2 tusks, so this is another elephant. And that's her friend that was shaking his head, so I'm sure maybe he was upset with the other one and they had been up to some play fighting or trying to show who's actually tougher than the 2 of them, so maybe that's why he was a bit upset. But everything's fine and well now that they've come to the water. I'm a bit surprised that they're drinking from this dam. Ellies are normally fuzzy with the water that they drink, and every dam, well, at least this dam in particular, has gone green thanks to that cyanobacteria that's also known as a green-blue algae that's slowly taken over the dam. So it's got some toxins up to a level, and if it's drank too much by certain species, there's the toxin in the algae. When they take over the water sources, they can do damage to the nervous system and to the livers in particular of certain species of animal. So I think these Ellies are being clever as well. You see that they're putting their trunks down, or when they first arrive, and they were also spraying the water. So I think they are actually going a bit further under that layer of algae that's not too bad yet, and that's where they're drinking when the water is still clean. Oh, that's amazing, that trunk. It seems like he's smelling, looking for a spot where there's less stuff. There we go. I wonder if they can smell the water that they're drinking. I'm sure they do, at least have a marvelous sense of smell. So maybe they're also just being a bit thorough in their water selection. Now we've got 2 young bulls around here. I reckon they've slowly started to split from their family. Sorry, Alice, there was a question from Ali. Ali, sorry, from an alley to the next alley. You're wondering if elephants have poor eyesight. No, they don't. They've got, I think somebody's being sneaky and trying to spray the other one. They don't have bad eyesight. It's just that perhaps compared to their sense of hearing and smell, their eyesight is not as outstanding as this other two. But they have good eyesight. I think the only animal that has a reputation of not having the greatest eyesight out there are rhinos. Are you going to hit him with the stick now? You see, ears open, both of them having a bit of a display moment. For a second there, it did look like he wanted to throw this branch onto the other bull. Raising the head. I am bigger than you, don't try any funny business. Looking very sheepish now, as in like, what? I was not planning on doing anything. Elephants can be such funny creatures. Or maybe he's fashioned himself a tusk. Yeah, he wanted to have a massive tusk now. There we go. Young boys at play. So you see he's being very clever and he's actually faced him with his tusk side. Measuring up their trunks. Beautiful. So I'm sure this is what they were up to when we first bumped into the one tusked Ellie, and likely they're going to carry on doing this for the rest of the day. You see he's even got his stance ready, so that if the other one tries to push him back, he won't be able to. Look at those feet. Beautiful. And you can see at the front, those are the nails, the toenails of the elephant. Very rough feet. Izzy Ed, you're wondering how many toes does an elephant have? Well, they've got 5 in the front or in their front feet and 4 at the back. And we tend to see them when they're walking as well. We can see their tracks. So you see that's almost like his pinky toe, that little round patch that we see. And then the toes grow bigger as they go into the middle of the foot. Oh, there we go. Typical young boys. I love when the young boys start fighting. It's always like such a... pretending that there's nothing going on. Hey, are we? It's always fascinating to see their antics and how they're pretending that there's nothing going on, and then there we go again. Ashes one, you wonder if elephants fight. They do. This is practice for when they get bigger and they have to fight with other elephants for the right of mating with a certain female in a breeding herd. So this is bite. Oh, sorry, I thought you said do elephants fight, and I was like, yes, of course. Bite, as in like when they fight with other ones and bite each other. Not that I'm aware of. So we've got the whole herd coming from the back. Yes. Very excited. Hopefully they'll all come down to the water and we'll have the little ones playing around while these two boys try to sort out their differences. It's amazing that we've been sitting around here and there were 1, 2, 3, 4 more elephants, 6 elephants in total, and we just didn't see them hiding in the bushes. Oh, lovely. Very cute little one going in first. Mom telling them off. Alrighty. You shall not drink your brother's water. You see that she's spraying all around. I think she's also picked up on the fact that some of that water wasn't that clean, so she cleans it up a little bit, sprays some water there, moves the algae around, and then she starts drinking. Sammy Jam, you're wondering how much water does the trunk hold? Well, it depends on how big the elephant is, but as they grow bigger, between 10 and 15 liters of water. And they can drink maybe up to 150 liters of water a day, depending again on their size, but that would be a good average. They seem to drip quite a bit. Oh, how wonderful is that? So it's almost like they use their trunks. They'll put all the water in there and then they use it as a cup, tilt their head. I think someone hasn't mastered the art of drinking with the trunk just yet, but getting better. There's lots of water that's being pushed out, and I wonder if it's not because he doesn't like the taste. Maybe he's tasting a bit of the green stuff that's in the water. But I don't think he's quite got it right yet. Maybe he gets a bit too excited for the next one. You're a very sweet little Ellie. Yeah, it seems like the aggression has gotten a bit worse between these two. For a moment there, it almost seemed like the tree was going to end up being pushed down. So let's see what they get up to. So very likely all of these elephants are somewhat related, and the bigger female that we were looking at, potentially the mother of one of these two. They're all of different sizes, which is a good indication that they could all be related. And we've got from the older calf to the youngest one, which is the one that's closest to her. But I wonder, are you guys going to carry on? Well, they definitely seem to be in a very playful mood this morning. Alright, there we go again. Pushing each other around. So I know it looks quite aggressive, but this is still not as aggressive as it can get between elephants, and this is very useful for them to learn the skills that they're going to have to use if they want to mate with females later on, once they become a little bit bigger than what they are now. It's almost like it's getting ready. 1, 2, 3, go! Maybe not. Julia, you're wondering, how do elephants show affection for each other? Well, they're a lot gentler than these two, although... Alright, let's just take one moment to see what they're up to. Wonder if one of them is going to end up in the water. You chose wrong. You're on a downhill. I think the little one's actually got a lot of strength in him. He's been pushing that bigger one around for a few times. So Julia, you were wondering how they show affection for each other, or if they do. Often you will see that they can be quite gentle towards one another, and especially if it's a herd that hasn't seen a member for a while, they get very excited. Are you done? I'm tired, I'm done for the day. This is quite funny. So you'll see that they'll start touching each other with their trunks, putting their trunks in each other's mouth, and there's a lot of trumpeting. Oh. But yeah, this is not affection. I think now they're getting a bit grumpy at one another, which is part of their normal life. Oh my goodness. I see them growling at each other. This is quite amazing seeing them fight so aggressively at such a young age. Well, seems like not even normal biological processes will stop the fighting. Still chasing that smaller one around. I think he got tired of being pushed around and now he really wants to show who the biggest elephant is around this herd. Carry on pushing each other. Beautiful elephants. What a spectacular sighting this is with all of them, and this is pretty much their normal routine. So you'll see the female, she'll be looking after the youngsters and just carry on with her day while the older ones start playing and moving around and become a bit more independent and do their own thing while these little ones carry on drinking. Jason, you're wondering if the females use a bit more discipline with the males when they're fighting about. Well, I think we're about to see how she reacts to this too. I think you've chosen the wrong one. Interesting. What is going on, guys? I wonder if this female isn't perhaps coming into heat a little bit, because it seems like this male is busy smelling wherever she's been urinating, and now he's put his trunk in his mouth, so it could be an indication that this particular female is slowly going to start coming into heat. Which could be one of the reasons why he's been fighting the other male so ferociously. The young calf seems to be old enough for the mother to go back into heat. So I wonder if this is perhaps what has been going on this whole morning, and now that we see them next to each other, we can just appreciate how big they are. The first one we saw, though, the one with one tusk, I reckon he's still way too young to even try anything, but just by how she was standing there and the other male started smelling around, I wonder if that is what this puzzle is actually like. So we've got the young calf now nursing and the two males moving around. And it could be why she's been a bit edgy this morning and just telling the little calves off all the time. Very interesting. I think this Twin Dams has provided a very nice elephant sighting for us today. All of them doing different things. Now, that calf that's next to the mother, that is busy urinating now, is doing it while nursing from its mother. So there's a show of multitasking for the elephants as well. And there you go, girl. Yeah. It's odd that this male starts pushing her around as well. I think he's just maybe trying a bit of his luck. And she is definitely not having any of it. At least not yet. There's a bit of a calm tension between all of them. Yeah, she is not too happy with his advances on her, so she keeps moving back. Izzy, you're wondering how old an elephant baby has to be for when the mom goes back into heat. So they're normally about 2 years old, which I gather is roughly the age of this youngster that's still nursing. But she will only have the next calf when this one is about 4, because their gestation period is very, very long, about 22 months. So even if she were coming onto heat now, it will still be quite a while before this youngster has to become an older sibling to a younger Ellie. So it could be, just judging by his size, that she's coming back into heat. And that's why these males are around, and why this male is slowly pushing her and, you know, pushing himself on her and putting his trunk on her head and just hoping for her to come receptive. But if she is going into heat, it's going to last a little while longer, and the idea for it mainly in nature is to be able to attract a selection of males so that the males start competing towards one another, and the biggest one and the one with theoretically the best genes is the one that gets to mate with her and then pass on his gene pool. Are you guys done? What an interesting development of events. Going back to drink. Ah, you're missing the tip of your trunk. I hadn't noticed that. I think this is one of the herds that we see every so often. She seems to be missing the tip of her trunk. But you see, she's able to drink and obviously do quite well if she's got a calf with her. Perhaps that's the reason why she seems to be slightly smaller than some of the average females that we get around here. George, you're saying that it looks like the half-trunk herd. I think you are right. I think this is them, because it's about 4 of them in total. So I wouldn't be surprised, but good to know that maybe your girl is getting ready to have her next one. Interesting, very interesting. We haven't seen her for a while. I think in general all Ellies have been just roaming in areas where we haven't been able to spend time with them, but good that they have come around here. They've revealed a little bit of what's going on in their daily life with us. Michelle, you're wondering how long it takes them to master the use of their trunk, especially when they're eating. I think the other one is just showing off now, the one at the back. It takes them about a year and a half when they're small. Maybe sometimes even 2 years to be able to actually put the water in their mouth or use their trunks to break the grass and the branches of the tree. So when they're small, you often find them, it's almost like they're cheating. They will go down to the water and they'll go down on their knees and they'll start drinking directly with their mouths, or they'll start eating from the branches directly with their mouths, just while they learn what to do with their trunk. And when they're small like this, it's funny. It almost seems like it's got a personality of its own. Oh, now we've got these two also trying to prove who's bigger. Wonderful, look at them also twisting their trunks. Beautiful. So normally when the Ellies put their trunks on top of each other's head or on top of each other's body, it's just a way of asserting their dominance and showing who's the boss. I wonder if this male is going to try anything else. Interesting. Squirting some water, the little one's playing, and the male just hanging out there, waiting. Sorry, Alice, I was laughing a bit at this little one trying to dig through the sand there, which is a bit too hard. So you were asking, Izzy had a question about elephant teeth? You're wondering if they have a set of teeth or if they are like zebra. Well, they've got sets of teeth that get replaced throughout their lives. So they've got 4 big molars, 2 on the top of their mouth and 2 at the bottom, and they get replaced about 6 times throughout their lives. And then of course we've got the tusks, where they get the milk tusks that they get replaced, and then when they're about maybe I would say 2 years old, then they start getting their permanent ones. Someone's having a lot of fun there. Youngsters being youngsters. If the sand and the soil were a bit wetter over there, I'm sure they would have a lot of fun just spraying mud and throwing it upon each other, but I think it's a bit too hard. So I think this little one has misjudged the soil. I'm going to be spending a little bit more time here seeing what these Ellies get up to, but it seems like Taylor's patience finally paid off.
It has indeed paid off, my goodness. Thankfully, Andrew from Cheetah Plains managed to find them. So remember just a moment ago when we were in here, or maybe about 15 minutes ago, we were looking for birds and we were at the old hyena den. They were actually just slightly north of that. So we were definitely on them. They must have just been behind us. But they're up and down, they were resting just for a moment. And there are a couple of youngsters here. I haven't seen all the lionesses though. I'm not sure exactly where they are. I'm just trying to figure out where these sub-adults are going to come out so we can have a look at them. I know they're sitting down in the long grass again. But we've got 2 lionesses to the other side, but it's just we don't have a great view of them yet. Let's see what we can do. I wonder if we go forward and maybe go from this angle, we might get a better view. We're just going to go through some trees very quickly. All right. Some guarri branches. And then I'm going to turn and we'll have a look at these lionesses on this side, just making sure I don't drive over any other lions. Here we go. That's quite nice. Isn't that beautiful? So I think that's exactly what was going on last night. Remember, I was saying earlier that I think that the pride might be split up slightly, and that's why they were calling so much. They were looking for each other, because it's just these 2 adults for the moment, and then all the cubs. So I don't know where the other 3 lionesses are. They might be somewhere around here. And we're not far from where we had those warthogs too. Those warthogs are actually just on the other side of this drainage line. And I wonder if that's not what these lionesses have seen. But I did also hear some cracking of branches just off to the west of me. So I don't know what that is. There definitely is something in the bushes that has caught their attention. So I'm just going to keep scanning just off to the left across the drainage line to see if there's anything moving around. It would be nice if they did find those warthogs, because that one sow is awfully relaxed with the cars, and I can only imagine that perhaps she's getting slightly older now and her senses aren't as acute as what they were. And that would be a tasty meal for the warthogs. It would really just be a snack though with all of them. Hello, beautiful girl. Isn't that lovely? Now, Ash's one, you've said that these are pretty girls. They are indeed. I do think the Nkuhuma lionesses are quite attractive. They are very pretty. And isn't this just beautiful framing? So remember, take lots of screenshots and hashtag Safari Live. Share them with us. We love to see them, especially at this time of the year. This is my favorite time of the year to photograph lions in the golden grass with all the different colors of leaves in the background. It definitely is a photographer's dream. And the sun is just poking through the clouds every now and then. You can see how the light changes. But they're hungry. It doesn't look like they've managed to get anything to eat since we saw them last night, which is a bit sad. I always feel sorry for the lions at times. You can imagine they put in so much effort. They walked huge distances. There's so much pressure on for them to perform and to catch something. Warthog, you've said that George is only a snack. How's that? Swapping everything around. Obviously, I meant to say George. You've said that a warthog would be a snack. It would indeed, like I said. It wouldn't be very much. They'd all just get a mouthful, especially if the other 3 lionesses are around here somewhere. But I don't know what she's looking at. I'm trying to stare into the distance. I can't see anything just yet, but my eyesight is nowhere near as acute as a lion's eyesight. Maybe some antelope lurking in the bushes too. It could really be anything. There was also a giraffe moving around here when I came